legal situation in this country. And Obama, because he's violating his oath of office, everybody says, well, nobody's going to do anything about it. Well, obviously, Congress is not going to do anything about it. And I wish the House would pass bills of impeachment. I can give them about 50 right off the top of my head, you know, that they can
I had delivered the information to 5 congressmen up there, hand-delivered it to them.
Well, they don't want the New York Times to be mad at them, so you know, the New York Times never going to love them. But I wish the House would file the bill of impeachment and pass it, because it just requires a majority. Obviously, in the Senate, there would have to be a trial. The Senate will never vote by 2/3 majority to find him guilty, but we get a lot of information out. But I think, and there are people that disagree with me on this, I think that a local district attorney who takes the same oath of office that the President of the United States takes could file criminal charges against Obama today for violation of their oath of office. And that would take some really guts, you know, but I think it's possible. Yeah, Bill?
Michael, my name is Bill Ames and my passion is public education. There are many conservative legal organizations around, but unfortunately many of them tend not to get involved until we're hopelessly playing defense. I like the signals that you're sending, Michael, that you're interested in getting, you know, involved before the feds come to my house to confiscate my firearms. Please comment on your organization's desire to play offense versus defense.
Well, that's, I guess you'd say I'm a very offensive person. At least that's what the liberals have. That's what the liberals have to say about me for sure. But no, that's always been my philosophy from before. I mean, I've done constitutional law for years, and it got so frustrating to me to keep seeing things happening. And again, like you say, we come in on the defense. And I remember, well, this is over 15 years or more now, I brought up the 10th Amendment in a case I was handling in Louisiana. And the judge and the opposing attorney, prosecutor looked at me like, what's he talking about? What's the 10th Amendment? And they, you know, I won the case on the basis of the 10th Amendment when they found out that it meant what it said. And now everybody talks about the 10th Amendment. But a lot of people are still not doing it, and a lot of people are on the defensive. Now, one of the things that we're trying to do is I'm trying to get a hold of the people with those other legal foundations to let them know that we need to start pooling our resources. Now, some of them are specialized, like the Alliance Defense Fund, which I think has changed its name, but they specialize in First Amendment cases regarding religious freedom. Obviously, the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms and the Second Amendment Foundation. By the way, I was the founder of that 30 years ago too. I've been doing stuff for years. And they specialize obviously in Second Amendment, as does the NRA. And I used to be a referral attorney for the NRA. But you've got other foundations out there, some station based here in Texas. We are trying to offer our services to them and say, look, we will partner with you, and you partner with us, and let's start pooling our resources. And maybe then we can actually successfully fight the ACLU, which can spend millions on a case, where we may be able to just spend thousands on a case. So, but we have to be aggressive. We have to go after Obama. And I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for years. But very quickly, how I first got into politics was in 1964. I was in high school in Mississippi. I was 16 years old. And I was made Central Mississippi chairman for the Goldwater campaign. Now, very impressive sounding. Well, the reason I was the Central Mississippi chairman was because there were only 3 Republicans in the whole state of Mississippi, and only 2 of them could vote. So they gave one of them the South and one of the North, and gave me the Center. So that was my start in politics. But yeah, you know, we have to go on the attack. If we continue to just fight defensively, that's what they want us to do. They want us to continue to just react instead of go after them. Yes, sir.
Is there any hope for a strategy to fight Obamacare on the origination clause?
I understood that there was a suit being filed out, or had been filed, out in Washington State or Oregon. We are trying to find out if that's true because we're going to offer our services there. Because, yeah, that's the door the Supreme Court opened. And if that is not true, then we'll probably be doing it. Because what origination clause basically says that any revenue bill should originate in the House of Representatives. Well, the original 1,100-page Obamacare, which I read when it was first offered, originated in the House. But then, when it got to the Senate basically dropped it and did its own bill, which ended up being the 2,700 one that finally passed. Well, of course, it has dozens of new taxes in there. And now the Supreme Court has come in and said that even the individual mandate penalty is in fact a tax. If that's the case, then this thing is unconstitutional because it originated in the Senate. And so, like I said, that's something we're looking into, and I'm very mad about it. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Are you addressing any of the issues about violence against women, specifically the Violence Against Women Act, which has just ended in the Senate, and the abortion that is targeting minorities, specifically the African American community, has come out with statistics that 80% of Planned Parenthood clinics are in impoverished neighborhoods.
Well, we have done battle with Planned Parenthood in the past. We're not directly involved in those issues at the moment. It doesn't mean we can't be. Again, it's a matter of resources and going after it. In fact, one of the first cases I handled out of law school, I wrote a bill for the Louisiana legislature which regulated abortion clinics. This was not long after abortion had been okayed by the Supreme Court. And what had happened was there was no regulations at all. You didn't have to be a doctor to perform abortions. And we had women literally walking out of the clinics in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and dropping dead in the parking lot. And so I wrote this bill. I based it on a bill that was up in Pennsylvania. The legislature passed it unanimously. Back in those days, even the Democrats were, on the right side on a lot of issues. And the Attorney General called me up and says, "Okay, Mike, you wrote it, you defended it. You're now a Special Assistant Attorney General." So we had a 3-month trial in federal court with the ACLU. Two female lawyers from New York were there representing some local doctors, and I had a counsel from the National Right to Life Association there. And it went on, and we finally lost, of course. This was a federal judge appointed by Jimmy Carter, who the federal judge is still in prison. That's what I heard. He was one of the found taking bribes and all kinds of stuff. But that, so I've been involved in those issues for a long time. I remember one incident in that courtroom, which you might get a kick out of. I was in a pretrial conference, and one of the co-counsel from Louisiana for the women from the ACLU referred to them in the conference as ladies, and they took objection to that. We're not ladies, we're women. Well, I sort of put that in the back of my head and said, I may have a chance to use that later. So we were heavily into the trial, and they had a Dr. Teetsy from Australia who was there, an elderly man, their primary expert witness. And he's up there testifying, and I got him across, and I've had him cross-examination for 2 days. And I'm wearing him down. He's answering everything just the way I want. So they're objecting. The women are objecting to everything he asks, just so he can have time to think. I thought to myself, now's the time. So I looked at the doctor and I said, "Doctor, earlier these ladies asked me such and such." One of them jumps up and says, "Your Honor, I object to being called a lady. My name is Janet Benshaw." And the judge kind of looked, everybody in the courtroom kind of looked at her like, "You object to being called a lady?" And they had been rude to everybody, the judge, the opposing attorney, witnesses, the whole bit. And I looked at the judge and said, "Your Honor, I apologize. I never should have referred to her as a lady." The courtroom fell apart. An FBI, a federal marshal sitting in the front row, actually fell on the floor laughing. The judge put his hand over his mouth and rolled around. She jumped on top of the counsel table and launched herself. The bailiff grabbed her, and that was one of my best moments in court. Okay, other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Michael, I'm Diane Evans. I'm Executive Director for the Republican National Coalition for Life and Chairman of the Benton County Republican Party. I My question doesn't have to do with life, but it's something you said last week at the Republican Assembly meeting. You talked about the offshore drilling permits that are being denied, and I believe you said the head of the Department of Interior has now actually been held in contempt of a federal court for not issuing them. But what can we do after that? All these lawsuits that you're filing, even if we win them, if there's no enforcement, if the judge can't make people comply with his rulings, what good does it do? Where do we go from?
Well, the judge is actually an obligation. Because if we go along with the idea that we are suddenly no longer a constitutional republic, but a democracy, then we're done. We were not set up as a democracy. We were set up as a constitutional republic. Because in a democracy, if 50.110% of the people say something has to be done, then you have to obey. That's the law. Under our Constitution, 99.5% of the people can say, confiscate all weapons. They still can't do it legally. And we have a legal obligation to resist if they try. Because we're protecting not only our right, but the constitutional rights of everybody else in order to protecting our republic. And I know they've got somebody else to...
That's okay, we have time actually, if the people want to stay.
Okay.
Are you aware of Sheriff Mack from Arizona and his county sheriff organization? He was down in Austin. I was down there at the Guns Across America rally. And he is signing up county sheriffs all around the county, in Fannin County and Cullen County. Those sheriffs have signed up on that. They will not arrest anybody trying to, or in fact, they will not enforce those laws. I'm not sure exactly how far it goes, but that's an excellent organization as far as I'm concerned. I have tried to get Denton County Sheriff William Travis. You think a guy by the name of William Travis would be right there signing on the line, but I have had no success with him. You know, it's just a couple of emails and so forth. If anybody's got any in with that guy, we need to get him to sign on to that, because this is excellent along the lines of we will not allow any enforcement. Same way with me. I am not going to register my guns. I don't give a hell damn whoever says I have to. I am not going to do it.
Well, you have, I think the count as of yesterday was 288 county sheriffs and organizations have signed on to that, and it's growing daily. So yeah, if your sheriff where you're from hadn't done it, you need to talk to him about it.
Well,
of course, the problem you got is that not all states have the sheriffs elected. You know.
He has said that he intends to enforce the Second Amendment, but as far as signing anything, we're not getting any place.
It was a whimper
Well,
response.
keep after it. Don't give it up.
We got a resolution
It was a
coming before the Denton County Republican Executive Committee this month, third Thursday, calling upon him to make that statement. So we might have signatures, we vote on that, and it's open to any interested Republicans. So y'all come on in.
He's an elected official. You can put the pressure on him. Yes, ma'am.
I did, in reference to getting a letter from the Internal Revenue Service, we got ours in August requesting all of our email, our membership. We just said no.
This week.
All right,
912 Fort Worth.
Oh,
let's talk afterwards. That would be something, I see that as a situation where maybe we ought to take the offense if we can. And go after them and say what they are doing is interfering with your right to free speech. That's a chilling effect on free speech. It's an effort to intimidate. The Supreme Court says they can't do that. So let's talk.
The Dallas Tea Party did download everything and send it to the...
Who, Dallas?
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
they
my.
sent it to
I can't believe
the
Ken did
IRS.
Dallas
Ken
Tea Party?
Emanuel sent
Yes.
that?
That was
Out.
a year ago when it first started
Yes.
coming out.
Kenny downloaded it and gave it to him as a
It's
gift.
like the secessionists signing a petition and sending it to the federal government, asking for permission if they can secede.
You don't
I'm
have
sorry.
to.
We appreciate everything that you're doing from the top. I think it's obvious that more and more we're going to have to do more from the bottom, and it has to be as a group. It can't be on an individual basis. We'll come after each one of us individually. If we haven't realized it already,